Hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the SPL waiting room. We've got a little bit of time before the SPL kicks off, and trust me, a lot of stuff has happened. I know what you're thinking. Man, it's been a wild week. Gore, you got a really nice tattoo. Thank you. I appreciate that. But come on, let's stick on topic here. A lot of things have happened. I mean, we had roster changes that came through, then more roster changes that came through, then more roster changes that came through. I mean, it just kept stacking on stacking on stacking. It felt like every day there was something that was going to be able to come through. And that was just the light of it. I mean, technically, Morgan Le Fay is available for play this week, and I feel like we're not even going to talk about it for the next 30 minutes because there's just so much other stuff to talk about and to try and break apart and figure out. It's just all trying to fall together as a puzzle piece. And I'm excited to do it, man. I'm really, really pumped for this. Some of these changes are exciting to see how they're going to end up coming through, as well as some of them maybe a little more confusing for a lot of people, and we're going to try to figure out how it's going to reflect on the long run. But I'm not specifying anything here. In fact, I'm not going to at all. We actually have Aggro in a pre-recorded video. You might have seen it already, but either way, we're going to go ahead and let him explain it.
Hey there, SMITE fans. Aggro here. Look, things have gotten a little wild out there in the Twitterverse, and I'm here to set the record straight on which rosters you'll be seeing in the SPL this week. Now, if you were tuning into our content streams on Mondays, which you should be doing, by the way, they've been awesome, you would know that the Solar Scarabs benched Solar Troll going into this week's matches. But if you've been checking Twitter since then, and the Reddit, and everywhere, you would know that things have gotten a little complicated since then. So let's go over it, and let's start with the Scarabs. The Scarabs have 2 games this week, and coincidentally, they have made 2 roster changes. And Solar Troll is neither one of them. Solar Troll will be playing in both games for the Scarabs this week. The 2 changes are Zatman has left the team. We'll talk about where he's going in a little bit. And Layers has also been removed from the team. So now the Scarabs, instead of looking for a potential solo laner, are looking for a permanent jungle replacement. So what's their solution for the current term? Well, let's talk about ADC first, because this one is more permanent. The ADC moving forward for the Solar Scarabs is going to be Stewart. Known for his sturdy artisans fame, he won the last SEC and North American Championship for the ADC there. Definitely a solid player, excited to see what he's gonna bring in a more permanent role in the SPL. Now, as for jungle, this is where things get a little extra messy. Remember, the Scarabs have 2 games this week, and they've got 2 different junglers slated to play those 2 games. For the first game, it's a name you might recognize. It's Cherio, who is leaving his position as the coach for the Tartarus Titans and stepping in the jungle for just 1 game for the Scarabs. This is not a permanent solution for them. I don't know what Cherio's plans are in the future. I'm assuming he'll be letting us know soon enough. Now, for the second game for the Scarabs this week, they'll be using Slaney, their coach, as their jungler. Remember, Slaney has been their coach all year long and was going to be subbing in for Solar Troll since he was benched, but then Zatman left the team and Layers also left the team, and they need a jungler, but only for 1 game, and so Slaney is doing that now. Assuming the Scarabs are not going to be moving forward with that long term, we have to wait and see what their pickup is going to be in the jungle. Now, as for this guy over here, the back-to-back NA ADC champion, Zatman, he's joining a team of young stars. It's the Atlantis Leviathans that Zatman is joining. Yarkor moving over to the solo lane, Julio out of the picture, and Zatman in, bringing some leadership to this young team of absolute bright stars that has yet to really deliver in the biggest moments. Kind of the opposite of what Zatman's been doing the last few years, right? Kind of a rough regular season, great postseason. Leviathan's trying to add a little bit of that veteran moxie to the squad, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen. So make sure you're tuning in to look at the new look Scarabs-ish and the new look Leviathans this weekend for the SPL. Make sure you're staying tuned to @SMITEPro on Twitter for all future updates on all these rosters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you this weekend.
Very insightful, past Aggro. Thank you a lot for that one. It breaks it all down, but of course, if you guys are looking at that and you're like, man, what does this mean? Hold on, that was really fast. I need it slower. I've got good news for you. We're going to break each and every one down. Why am I talking to him about past Aggro? That's because we got live Aggro right here, as well as Myflin. You changed shirts.
I did. Okay, can I actually complain about this?
Okay.
I wanted to wear that shirt today. for the broadcast.
I did. See?
Yeah, me too.
That was not my SMITEPro League shirt. It was here at the studio, and I put it on. But I thought that people would think that I wore the same shirt 2 days in a row if I wore it in a pre-recorded video yesterday and then again today.
You just found a shirt and you put it on?
No, Graham told me to go into the studio and grab one to wear.
We
so
just
that
got
it was-
extras laying around.
No,
Well,
I asked
no.
if I could keep it, and he
He
said
was
no.
very clear about that yesterday.
Right, so someone
he told
now-
us to not take it.
So 2 people have gotten screwed over from the situation. Number 1, me, because I don't get to wear the shirt I wanted to wear today. Number
Fair.
2, whoever's shirt I stole took out of the bag, put it on, and then put it back, and now it's a worn shirt.
Well, yeah, now they got stinky aggro juice.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Oh.
Oof, that felt that felt gross to say, and I wish I hadn't. Either way, hey, Myflin, you're also here. What's up?
Hey, yeah, I'm also here, guys. I'm wearing the shirt that I own, and that's the whole truth of it.
There you go. The shirts on our back are ours, including the one Aggro has on right now, but not the one he wishes he was wearing that
Correct.
he stole from someone else that's here in the studio somewhere. I don't know. Either way, that's more complicated than what we're about to get into. What we're about to get into is what ended up being a mid-season roster apocalypse. I mean, kind of a nice treat. You get the mid-season patch where everything just drops down. So many changes, easy as a caster because there's so much to talk about. And now the easiest thing to talk about, roster changes where things come through. Very first, let's start at the very beginning of it all. So Monday morning, maybe not even Monday morning, maybe it happened over the weekend last week. At some point, the news breaks, SOT has been benched. And I think we actually did it live here on Monday during a Scarabs interview. And so Sot's benched. Myflin, this felt like it was going to be the biggest thing. We planned this segment of the show to really be about that originally.
Yeah, we did. And the Sot bench situation, I think, is very interesting in that it doesn't really amount to much. He still gets a chance to play here. It's not really affecting the play on field. But you got to think, oh, my God, I was just benched last week. I'm already back. That cannot be great for your mental. I'll tell you guys, every single time I've been benched, and that's only once, by the way.
Okay.
It didn't feel great. I can't imagine it feels great coming back in to play with these same guys, and now with a roster that is essentially just patchworked up.
Gore, for your stat sheet, I've never been benched, just so we're on the same page.
Got that.
Yeah, just retired once.
I agree with Myflin that it's a little odd that Solar Troll, I mean, you listened to what they were saying there at the casual set that I'm looking at right now on Monday, where I'm talking to Slaney and Zap in Inbound, and they're saying, look, it's not just about this situation where he can't come in, he didn't get his second vaccine, all that kind of stuff that's come out since then. All of that is what they're saying, and now it's like, all right, a week later, we got bigger fish to fry, it seems like, and that just leaves us in a position where is Solar Troll really going to be able to mature the way that the Scarabs want him to whenever there isn't really a consequence for that action? Now, maybe it is. Maybe it is just that scare, that fear that, oh, man, I was going to get benched, but then I kind of got bailed out by all this other stuff that happened. SOT is obviously an incredibly talented player. He's one of the best solo laners in the entire league. I'm always impressed by what I'm seeing from him on the court, but this is back-to-back seasons now where he's been benched or let go. This one didn't really count, but how many chances you got? He's really got to step up and mature a little bit.
I mean, the good news for him is that 2-week bench lasted, 3 days? 4 days at most. So you were able to kind of get the brevity of it. Nice short bench, but still the seriousness of the situation for him, maybe kind of snapping things into perspective for him. But he's not the only solo laner that had something go on. Julio, for those of you who aren't in the know, has been indefinitely, I think is the right word, indefinitely banned from the SPL. If you want to read more about that, just go to SMITEProLeague.com. There's a blog post about it that'll detail way more than we can get into here, because I think the biggest thing is he is not there for the Leviathans. That's really what we want to break into. And as such, they needed a solo laner. And lucky for them, they had one, Hardcore, who it honestly was looking really, really hot as a carry over there, is going to swap back to fill in where Julio was. So he's going back to solo. And they scoop up Zapman, of all people, from the Scarabs aggro. I mean, they grab him out of nowhere, it feels like.
I mean, it's perfect timing for them that all this drama is starting to happen around the Scarabs. I mean, I didn't really talk to Zapman about it in particular on Content Day, but
he was here with the Scarabs for Content Day.
He was here on Monday for the Scarabs, and I could tell that this, it was all, there was all this turmoil, and I was definitely getting the air that it was like, I don't need this. You know what I mean? I'm too old for this at this point. And I'm with him on that because I feel very old all the time. And I think this is a perfect situation for Zap. It's a perfect situation for the Leviathans. You're looking at a team that has really been so good during the regular season but unable to deliver in those big moments. Zap has shown that he's an incredibly clutch player that really turns up in those big moments, bringing some
just an air of confidence and calm whenever it comes to the playoffs and the world championships and all that kind of stuff, I think is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Leviathans. And, oh, yeah, Yarkor is like maybe the best solo laner. He's a top 3 solo laner instantly. Like, I think he's that good. So, instantly, I think the Leviathans get a pretty solid upgrade here.
Yeah, and it's a no-brainer change for Zapman, right? I mean, how many seeding places did he just jump up? Like 5 immediately?
Yep.
Just do it.
Yeah,
You're
this is the
crazy
highest
if you
he's
don't
been in
go
2
for that
years.
Immediately. And this Leviathan squad, as you already highlighted, has struggled in the past at lands and things like that. Well, that's where Zapman really finds himself at his best. But I think it's worth bringing up the verbiage on that Julio ban. Indefinite ban has been done in the past. We've had players in the Pro League that have had that happen to them. It's appealable. There's a precedent of it. So we aren't guaranteed to not have Julio forever. Could come back one day.
Who knows?
You never know. Maybe we'll see him again. Maybe we won't. I think the biggest thing, look, we all like to meme Zap for his relic usage, or I guess lack thereof sometimes.
Yeah, that
but
one.
if you've watched the way that the Leviathans play, like Shinto hardly ever gets touched to begin with. I imagine Zap's going to feel very comfortable in that backline.
And real quick, I know we got a lot to go on the show, but I think it's worth mentioning that Zap the last 2 years really just played decoy in order to make space for Paul. Now he gets to go in, play decoy, make space for Shinto. Very similar situations to those PKSK teams. I think he's going to fit really well.
We'll have to see how that one shakes through. Leviathan's actually playing first set today, so we'll see that in action pretty much immediately. But this left the Scarabs in a little bit of an awkward spot. You're now, technically, at this point in time, you have a bench solo laner. Your carry just left. And then all of a sudden, you're like, okay, well, you know what? Sot's coming back. And he comes back at the cost of something else, but we kind of touched on it earlier. Sot is going to be playing for them. That benching only lasted for 3 days. And Myflin, this feels like at least a good portion for him to be able to kind of shape up and showcase, okay, you know what, I'm going to get everything together. They were talking about like late streams, not showing up to scrims on time, things like that. To tighten it up and really make this weekend count.
Yeah, and the play on field has never been the issue for SOT. He's been a very consistent member on the Solar Scarabs squad, so I don't think that what we are going to see today is really going to reflect the efforts that he needs to make. That's all the intangibles, the strides outside of the game. But the Solar Scarabs draft as a whole for this first set, and it's not the same for the second set this week. So I'm going to run it down. It's Cherio in the jungle, and it's Slaney somewhere?
Slaney
will be in the jungle.
In the second set.
Slaney jungle's in the second set. Good lord.
Yeah,
That's
don't
going
worry,
to be a tough set for them.
We'll break that one down too.
Cherio from Egypt, though. Good for him. Good for him.
It's just been such a weird week for them. 'Cause again, benched, unbenched. Solo for SOT, it's a very clear, straightforward path, right? Hey, you're not playing. Hey, wait, you're playing again.
Yeah,
cool.
We need you.
Then they had to fill the spot of ADC, and it's someone that we're actually all pretty familiar with. Stuart is someone who I believe last year at one point Wowie got knocked out from for what, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, something like that, along with a bunch of other bands that had come through, and Stuart stepped up to play for him then. Seems like he's going to step up for the Scarabs now.
And look, I think that Stu is a really deserving ADC. He's ready for this next step. You know, he's been the ADC for the Sturdy Artisans, playing alongside Sino for a long time. Whether or not he enjoyed that, that's up to Stu. But you really have seen this guy rise up the ranks of the NASCC. Now he's been on the best team for a while. It makes total sense to me that he's the next guy up, that has an opportunity to really prove his stuff at this level. And I think that he can be a successful ADC. This is a role that sometimes can take some time to adjust to, especially when it comes to the team fighting. So I'm not looking for Stuart to tear it up right away, but I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I think he's a really good player, and I think he's going to fit well at this level.
When we had first learned about this, at least when Zap moved, I immediately went, okay, so who's next? Like, it's Guy J or Stuart. Like, those are the first two that came to mind. So it makes sense Stuart, especially with his experience and what he's been able to accomplish just this year in the SCC, is the first one to get called. So their carry problems get solved in a way there, right? He's going to be coming in. Look, synergy is a whole other topic to talk about with this team. There's so much to still break down because there were, again, SOT got to come back, and it came at a cost. And the way the Scarabs, again, they can break this down their own way, but Layers is the one that's no longer there for that team. I mean, you had kind of mentioned it earlier, Myflin. Cherio stepping in today to play in the jungle for them, Slaney on Sunday for them, which we'll break down why Cherio is not playing both sets a little bit later. But Layers is gone, and that feels like he last year people were clamoring for this guy to be in the SPL, and now that he's gone, it feels a little weird because he statistically had the best performance on the Scarabs.
Yeah, he was a very consistent member of his team, but this is not an issue that is new to Layers. Even back in his console days, there was a lot of outside the playfield, and that seems to be a common thread on the Scarabs draft. There's a lot of not on the playfield issues that some of these players have experienced, and, well, I guess some of that rears its head here as Layers is removed from the roster, but he could still come back into the SPL. He had a very consistent performance on a team that was admittedly struggling, so it might be a little bit harder for him to make his break back into it. But I'm sure that he's got a very bright future. He's very consistent. But now, with layers gone, this Solar Scarabs squad takes a very large hit to their synergy as a team. They were the console boys. Well, now there's only a couple of them there left. And they've also lost their veteranship leadership. This is tough.
That's the big thing for me here, Gore, is that where is the leadership on this team? We thought it was coming from Zapman, and clearly that did not work in general. And in my mind, that's very obvious by all of the attitude issues on this team, the scrim environment that we're hearing about, all that kind of stuff. That all points back to leadership for me. So who is going to be accountable on this team moving forward now? Because they've got a lot of different changes, and none of them seem ready to be that number one guy. I mean, is it going to have to be Inbound? But again, it's been part of the team this whole time, and we've had Solar Patrol who needed to get benched, but ultimately did not. Layers who needed to be let go. All of these things, I'm not sure that they can find someone that's going to remedy that for them. So if I'm a Scarabs fan, I'm excited about these new pickups and everything, but I'm a little nervous. You know, who are they going to get in the long-term jungle? You know, Cherio, as you just saw, he's planning on playing SEC. He's not going to be there forever, so he can't be your guy. Slaney is obviously not going to be your jungler long-term. So you need to find a jungler that is then going to come in and try and not only fit into your roster, but somehow corral all of these issues, all of the environment issues that are going on. That's a tall task, and in my mind, I think that's pretty much impossible. So it starts with that guy. It starts with Slaney. He's got to do a better job of trying to keep this team on the right environment. And Inbound as well is the only other guy. Baronic is still trying to get his feet wet in the SPL. I can't put that on him or on Stewart or on whoever they're picking up for jungle.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Slaney, and I'm looking at Inbound. These guys cannot just continue to try and do what they're doing when it comes to the on the field play. Gotta change that environment from the ground up.
It's an interesting thing because, like, you talk about junglers, and immediately I'm like, well, Sino, Scream, they're out there. They live in the world right now somewhere that they could potentially get brought in. But right now it is, as you saw earlier, Cherio stepping in for today. Why only one set? It's just because if he played Sunday, it would interfere with him being capable of playing in the SCC next week. He's already upset that he has to miss week number 1, so he's moving forward with it. He's only going to play the one today, I guess, as a weird warm-up set. That's kind of in the SPL, just casual warm-up in the SPL, and then he's going to jump back down to the SCC. Slaney will be playing on Sunday, which is going to cause a lot of question marks, but it's against the Valkyries, so that's a really, really deep conversation we can have, but that's going to have to wait a little while because we only have however many minutes left. And the biggest question is whether or not the Scarabs can bounce back this week. They've not necessarily been having a great time. They've been known to they took the Kings down at one point, not last time, but the time before that, knocked them out of the playoffs. They've taken down the Dragons consistently. Will they be able to keep doing that? Nobody knows. We're just going to have to wait and see. And this has been a very heavy conversation, I would argue, because it's a lot of movement, a lot of changes, all of which that are really affecting the one team. And so let's go to something a little bit lighter. Look, I'm going to tell you guys, I wrote these questions. We have Fact Seat Gaming, and all of these were written before any of that had broken. And so all of these feel, I was reading them again this morning. I was like, this feels useless in the face. Like, of the last 4 days, it feels like nothing questions. But sometimes you need some nothing questions, even if they have some interesting facts. So we'll just go ahead and jump into question number 1. I want to preface this. This is all regular season games for all 3 questions. So this is going to take place not just season 8, but season 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it's only regular season, not your worlds, not your playoffs, etc., etc. So, first and foremost, which god, across all regular season games, has the highest win rate?
Tiamat.
That's a really good guess. Tiamat's really good. I'm going to just break from it, though. I'm going to say Arthur. I love my odds, though.
You don't love your odds. Well, hey, Myflin does take the dub on that one. It is Tiamat, 62% that she's been able to come through. Yeah, I mean, look, I feel bad because I'm about to throw him under the bus, but the Valkyries did not do Tiamat any favors.
Come on,
first zeros. Look, there was like an 0-5 Tiamat before she started finding some wins.
Yep.
So it took a little while, but she found her ground. You know what? When I wrote that question, I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. Guess who's number 2? Like, no, number 2. Number 2 isn't a word. Number 2 on that list.
Second highest win rate. Well, Myflin, you're the reigning champ, so you got to go first.
I am the reigning champ in more than one sense of the word. I almost said Yamoja. And then I remember the Scarabs have been mightily struggling on this pick.
We're just being mean today.
I guess so. I'll toss it to Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh. That's also a good guess. I'm going to go with Arthur.
You're going to go with Arthur? Myflin, you're 2 for 2 here, man. It's Gilgamesh, 61% win rate. They do.
so smart.
I'm going to go ahead and throw the caveat out there. They have the glory of only having
Least games
less than 100 games. So like as long as your wins are just slightly higher, your percentage is going to look nuts.
Yep.
In this case. But that does bring us to the third question, which is who's the third highest?
King Arthur.
Locking it in.
He will surely be somewhere on this list. That's all I'm saying.
And it's just the regular season for this season.
Just the regular season.
No, all seasons.
All seasons. Not this
All
season.
seasons forever.
All seasons.
Yeah,
forever.
all seasons forever.
Let's say Artemis.
Well, I'm surprised you were thinking it
Artemis.
was just this season and you got the first 2 right. I guess it makes sense.
I wasn't thinking, bud.
Oh, there we go. That's the right one. You
The
said
secret's
Artemis.
been revealed. Yeah.
You said Arthur?
Arthur,
You're
of
locking it
course.
in?
I'm keeping it. I
Well,
gotta stay consistent.
Artemis is a little closer. Arthur is also in a way close because it starts with A. It's Amuzen Cop. Of all people, he had a really good tear. I think it was in like season 2, season 3, where he's just winning games, dude. Everything since then, it hadn't been anywhere near the same. He's sitting there at 59%. I had a hint that I just realized. I just read it. A god that hasn't been played yet this year that might have been helpful for you, but I didn't read that till after I revealed the answer.
I'm
so,
going to say I
whoops.
would have gotten it with that, and it's your fault that I didn't.
You know what? I'll take the blame. That's all on me. And then I think we
Yeah,
have
2-1.
our bonus fact, of which I don't know what this is. What god has the highest win rate on a Friday with over 10 games played in competitive play? Now, this has to be inspired by the fact that I asked someone on Twitter asked me, and I asked Zayadin about Artemis wins on a Sunday.
Oh, he's locking in. I'm nervous now.
I want
He's
y'all
gonna-
to answer first.
You want me to answer first?
Well, I don't want to. I haven't had to think about any of these answers yet. This is my first one.
It's the Morrigan.
The Morrigan, huh?
On a Friday?
I think
Definitely.
it's Baron Samedi because he
Okay.
lives for the weekend.
Okay.
And he is going to be really amped up that it's
He
Friday.
is, some could say, the life of the party. That
Exactly.
could come through. I'm going to say Ymir because I think Friday and
you
for
not
some
know
reason
the
chili
answer?
and ice cream. I know this is
No,
the
it's
one.
not his.
Oh, okay.
Kyle writes these behind me and then tries to surprise me. 70% win rate on Fridays.
Do
for
the
Hera.
Scarabs play on Fridays?
Weekend Warrior. I don't know.
If-
They're not
if-
picking Hera. No one's picking Hera
If
right now.
no, Yamoja.
Well, we know the answer, Mifflin.
Oh, it's
You're
on the
just being
screen.
toxic
On
for
the
the sake of being toxic.
My bad.
All right, fair enough.
All right, well, that's going to do it for Fact Seat Gaming. Now we'll move forward to week number 4. Again, a lot of things, well, actually here haven't changed. The schedule that you saw last week, or I've looked at the website, again, SMITEProLeague.com, just throwing that one out there for you, is all pretty much the same. The biggest thing, though, is because Hardcore is solo and Zap is now on the Leviathans, that the Bolts versus Leviathans set tomorrow can be in studio. They've got everybody here, and everybody's cleared to be able to walk in.
That's going to be a
And
lot
this
of
time
fun,
we're
man.
sure about that one.
Yeah, this time we're sure. Well, I think.
I hope
yeah,
so. Haven't seen Leviathans yet.
Very, very excited to see that team play for the second time they played today, I do believe. But up against the Bolts, who have been absolutely red hot, best team in the league right now. Excited to see how that brand new roster stacks up.
Especially, I mean, Myflin, they're going up against the Bolts. Bolts are undefeated right now. It's a tall order.
It is, and it's a large tonal shift for the changes that we've seen, right? I mean, are there two roles that are more different than Hunter and Solo? I'm not so sure. Yarkor came into the Hunter role, and I had this exact same withdrawnness, this trepidation, if you would, that maybe it'd be a hard adjustment. It wasn't, and then he tweeted out, "I'll play any singular role at the top level." So I'm gonna, I take it back. They're gonna be fine. Leviathan's gonna be fine.
Your core sick.
You got it. Leviathans are going to be fine. Well, let's see if you agreed with that, yesterday, 2 days ago, when we did our predictions to see how that's going to shake through. Everybody going for the Kings in the first set. Everyone going for the Warriors in the second set. I will say, when we voted on this, we knew about the changes. So
Yes.
this is in spite of Cherio being there, Stewart being there, Sop being bad, all that. Bolts, everyone's going there in Leviathans. Myflin, you gave them a little bit of a chance, but we'll see how well they fare. This is the big one. Me and you said Kings over Dragons. We're the only ones. Aggro, why do you hate us?
Well, we don't have the wait. We have to wrap. I don't have all the time in the world to talk about how much I hate Myflin.
Well,
He said us.
No, I know. I said
but
what I
he
wanted to say.
specified.
Go
And then,
there,
of course,
boys.
I think you saw it, the Valks Scarab set on Sunday. I think everybody's kind of coin flipping that one. I have no idea. I'm going to throw it out there now. I'm going to say it again on Sunday. The Valks are on the longest set loss streak that we've seen in the SPL
Must win.
ever.
Must
so
win.
They,
This is a must
they
win.
absolutely
Look,
need it.
Myflin is being toxic for the sake of being toxic. I'll be toxic for the sake of discussion. If you can't beat Slaney Jungle, what's the point?
There you go. It's all on the table right there. But hey, guess what? SPL's coming up soon. We're going to get to see not the Slaney jungle, the Cheerio jungle, I believe. No, that's later. That's the second set. It's first. It's Leviathans that are going to be playing up first. Either way, it's going to be exciting to see some of these roster swaps. So just go ahead, stay tuned. It's going to be just a couple of minutes. I think it's even me and Myf that are going to be hanging out here on the desk. So we'll see you in just a few.